Well, it wasn't as bad as being bundled out for 36, but India have lost yet another pink ball test in Adelaide. I think many people expected them to. So the series is now one apiece as we head to the Gabba. So Ayaz, let's start with India's bowling. Now, on the last episode, I did ask you whether India have enough firepower in their attack if something happens to Bumrah, if he has an off test. And I guess we have an answer for that. But of course, Bumrah was still brilliant, but the issue was with his body. There was concern. He went down for a bit. I think it was a cramp, which meant that Rohit Sharma couldn't bowl him as much as he wanted to. And there was that period where Bumrah wasn't bowling, was where Travis had bludgeoned India and essentially won that match. So how do you remedy this? Do you now drop Harshit Rana and bring in someone like a Prasidh Krishna or Akashdeep, or will that make much of a difference, or do you just hope that there are spinner-friendly conditions so that Ashwin and Jadeja and Washington come into the picture?
Anil, this is one of many questions that have arisen after the defeat at Adelaide. I did a piece for the week online where I mentioned that after Perth we had India had a problem of plenty, and after Adelaide they've just got plenty of problems. One is, of course, what kind of support does Jasprit Bumrah have? And remember, there was also a scare, a kind of a threat to his own fitness when he kind of, didn't get up off the ground for a while and he was attended to. So that's a big issue, because in Australia, if your bowlers are not going to get wickets consistently, then it kind of diminishes your efficiency, the team's efficiency, as well as the potency of the team. Now, we saw Harshit Rana played splendidly at Perth, but he came unstuck against Travis Head at Adelaide. And apart from Bumrah himself and Mohammad Siraj, there was not much else in the bowling, to support these two and pick up wickets. So I think even with, Siraj kind of bowling with a big heart, I think you need at least one other bowler who's picking up wickets fairly regularly. It happened at Perth. It didn't happen at Adelaide. They need to find a fast bowler or a spinner. Now, from the ranks, we've seen Washington Sundar played the first match. Ashwin played the second. There is Akashdeep, of course, as we know. The options are there, but I don't know if they are, and that will be the worry for the Indian team. Are these options, those who are available, including Ravindra Jadeja, are they going to add more muscle to India's bowling attack, or it'll be much of the same with everything dependent on Bumrah? Is really the looming question.
Yeah, so let's move on to the more disappointing bit of India's performance, which is the batting. So if Nitish Kumar Reddy is your top scorer in both innings, that too without getting a 50, you're in a bit more than a problem. So what are you expecting? I mean, do you think there is now talk of Rohit wanting to, not him wanting to, people wanting Rohit to open again, but I don't think that will solve a lot. And do you think this was just a one-off, because they did play well in Perth, and this being a day-night match, and Stark is almost godlike with the pink ball, so do you think this was a one-off, or there are deeper problems?
Well, I hope it's a one-off. I mean, certainly Gautam Gambhir and the team, the captain himself, Rohit Sharma, will be hoping it's a one-off. He looked completely out of sorts. He had a very brief stay in the middle in both innings, made 3 and 6. So the move to bat in the middle order completely backfired. So now the issue is, does he go back to opening the innings? I think everybody wants him now. All the advice coming in says, please go back, because at least there you made some runs. But remember, against New Zealand, he didn't make runs as an opener either. So Rohit has the task on hand. So does Virat Kohli. He's got 100 at Perth, a very good 100 in fact. But the other scores are, 5, 7 and 11. And that's really hurting India's prospects in this series. The failure of both these guys, both the big guns, so to speak, is dragging the team down, not just the batting. So we've got Yashasvi Jaiswal, who made 100 at Perth. Then we've got Shubman Gill, who got some runs over here in Adelaide. You have Rahul, who's actually been the most consistent, apart from Nitish Kumar Reddy. And you've got Pant, who's been, kind of clicked on and off. So my way of looking at it is that from the two, Rohit and Virat, they need at least one to fire big time. And from the 3 or 4 of the younger lot, I'm not including Rahul also needs to continue in the same vein of form that he has shown. But from Jaiswal, Pant, Shubman Gill and Reddy, they need at least 2 to fire. That's when you'll get some decent scores. The bowlers can only do that much. If they have no scores to defend, then how do you win a match? So I think, in Perth, after the first innings collapse for 150, the batting came good. They made, India made 400 plus, and Bumrah's opening burst almost, won the match there itself for India. That didn't happen. And you can't keep making scores of 150, 170, 180, multiple collapses, and then say, let the bowlers do the job. I don't think that's a fair way of looking at it from a bowler's point of view. So I think India's task is cut out. And remember also, Anirudh, that the defeat at Adelaide has pushed India down to number 3 in the WTC rankings. Australia have climbed back to number 1. So pressure is mounting on many fronts.
Yeah, and as for Australia now, really good signs for them, especially with Marnus Labuschagne getting back to form, it seems, and Pat Cummins found his rhythm too, and Travis Head just continues his purple patch against India. But this is not a side without its own problems. Smith and Usman Khawaja have been fired, and we still don't know when Hazelwood is back, although they have found Boland. And this win must have really eased the nerves in that camp, right?
Oh yes, remember after they lost at Perth, there was so much talk of there being a division in the team and the future of players like Labuschagne, Smith and even Khawaja. I think that I don't think it's a very settled batting lineup in terms of form. And none of these guys apart from Travis Head has actually batted authoritatively. Yes, Marnus Labuschagne did. He got a splendid half century finally. But he struggled and he took his time. He's a gritty guy. He fought his way back. But it's a severe drought of runs from Smith and Khawaja and also Mitch Marsh. So there's, in a sense, Australia also have a vulnerable batting lineup, but they've got Travis Head in magnificent form, and their bowlers, the trio of bowlers, even if Hazelwood is not there, then they had Scott Boland. The trio of fast bowlers really came good. We haven't seen much of Nathan Lyon in this series at all. So that's been a bit of a surprise in a sense, because Nathan Lyon has been a high quality bowler for them for many years. So I think Australia have their problem, but I think they've overcome the Perth setback very strongly. It's almost like two heavyweight boxers who were into a slugfest. So India KO'd Australia at Perth by 295 runs, and at Adelaide it was Australia who completely knocked out India by 10 wickets. So, but Australia have I think because it's the later event, their confidence has been restored, and also they are seeing that players like Rohit, who's come and played this match looking completely out of sorts, so too Kohli, and the bowling apart from Bumrah. So their issue really now is how to keep Bumrah at bay. While for India, the Indian batting is not just one bowler, you have to keep an array of fast bowlers at bay.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, next test at the Gabba, that starts on Saturday, and we'll come back to you before that. So that's it for this episode of Sportsroom. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. We'll catch up, Anirudh.